Okay, welcome back to blog number 4 from our Vision Farms, giving you a bit of an update. And today's blog could be described as the bumpy or the rocky start. We've 2 farms, obviously, a spring calving herd, and we've a herd with some winter milk as well. At the very outset, when we looked at this project back in August, we tried to set out that this is not going to be an easy task from where the farms were, and that we had 5 or 6 key pillars, but the 6th pillar was probably a long-term vision. People was number 1, animal health and welfare. Nutrition production was our next pillar, soil and biodiversity, environment, and then the final one, this idea that we're producing human health foods on the farm. So if we work on all these over the next couple of years, what products are we producing on farm, and where's the value on that going forward? So it's an interesting idea, and it was just the idea of the circle here is to identify the easier areas to start off and work with, and animal health and welfare, because maybe my involvement as well was, and nutrition production were the areas we really focused. We have plans here. Also, just on that circle again, looking at animal health, and you can rate it from 0 to 10. It's about identifying which areas we want to work on first. So lameness, milk quality, fertility, they were big ones. Calf health has been quite good, getting better on infectious disease, the cow signals piece, and I've said it before, certainly our second farm is more challenging around space, setup, and the lads have worked extremely hard over the last couple of months to approach that cow-centered approach of what the cow needs within the system. And when we look at the farming system, we'd love a lovely flow like this in a seasonal system that everything would go right, but ultimately we're identifying bottlenecks along the way that affect that flow. And you remove one bottleneck and the next one appears. But that's why our motto of progress over perfection is so important to us, because this isn't about achieving perfection, because there'll be outside factors that will impact on how overall farm performance goes, but it's about controlling as much as possible that we can on farm. So this is the spring calving herd, and we have the winter milking herd as well, but we've got do a lot of work on fertility and tighten that up. But we've about 32 cows calved over the last 6 weeks, so some of the late autumn calvers and spring calvers have started now. There's about 64 cows going into the tank. Things are going really well, and this idea you should never say that, but things are going really well. From that, the lads have done a huge amount of work on management and setup and changing the way group management, utilising straw sheds to make better use of space, to kind of look at the cows' needs within the system, and I think we're seeing the results and benefit from that. So from a transition management point of view, at calving time, we're not seeing problems with retained cleanings, or we're not seeing huge issues with mastitis, and cow health has been going quite well here. We've been preparing as well, very like what we did here, on kind of dry cow management. We are feeding a product called Omnigen as well through the silage, which is there to help and stimulate. It's an immune support, and it's going to be interesting to see how that fits in with our overall journey on the farm. Along with, we're using microbes in the environment, and we're doing lots of things around reducing antibiotic usage, and reducing some of the challenges on our pillars that we identified at the start, milk quality being one. So both farms, like last year averaged 280 in our spring herd ForChester. This farm, when we started in August, was averaging up to 300,000. A lot of issues with an old parlour and different things that were going on. So like at the moment now, our cell count is just averaging over 100,000. There's been huge work done here, but the big challenge is with all these heifers calving in, and particularly we've identified through milk records and testing, we've a number of problem cows that will be calving in. So everything is getting CMT tested after 4 days. We're also culturing any clinical mastitis or any subclinical mastitis, and we're trying to get a real pattern on how effective our treatments are, whether we treat or not, and that's been a really interesting one. So we've really moved away from every case of clinical mastitis gets treated. We're looking at what bugs are there, do we need to treat them, and that decision making has been working. A huge focus on particularly those cases and any sick cows on the farm, the use of oral fluids and anti-inflammatories. We're very lucky, I suppose, in that we have a Smactex bolus in each cow on each farm, which means we have a huge amount of data that's really proving incredibly beneficial as we watch these cows to see what's actually happening inside. Temperature, rumen activity, water drinking cycles, activity itself. It's really fascinating to look at these cows and put that data. But we're only getting a handle on the data and a handle on our systems, but I think we've because we had so many challenges here, the work, and because we had cows going into the tank, we've been allowed to continuously work on the milk quality problem. Just up here on ForChester, we ended with a high cell count, but we had a lot of work on the dry cow period, and the focus then was going to be at calving time. And here comes the rocky start. So again, I probably, this is just a brief overview, but coming up to calving, we were focusing on 3 key things: energy in the cow, calcium, minerals and vitamins. Again, we did identify, and this is the biggest challenge we faced, and one we hope not to face again, is very poor silage quality on the farm. And we looked at, I suppose, even body condition score coming along after dry off and coming up to the winter, and body condition was dropping because we knew the silage quality was poor. We looked at feed space and all those sort of things and worked hard to get those right on this farm. Facilities are certainly a lot better maybe than here, but we still had work to do. We went in with some barley supplementation, and that held body condition, and actually we saw body conditioning improving. So coming up to calving, we had a plan around transition management and the need that we're going to supplement our cows and heifers as they calve down with rolled oats and soya about 2 weeks out from calving. And what happened to us was, and this is our fault, is we were a week late with supplementation, and the cows, a few cows and heifers calved a week early. And look, there's not excuses. We made a mistake, and this is being honest about it. And I think we're seeing the effects of that, or we saw the early effects of it. So we had a cow calving, twins that were early or premature that didn't survive. We had a stillbirth in one of our heifers, and 2 other heifers retained their cleanings or afterbirth after calving. We also had another cow calved down that kept her cleaning. Probably she calved the 9th or 10th in that sequence. But we've about 20 plus calved. Things have settled down. So obviously we tried to react early. We identified probably our mistake. And we beat ourselves up for a period of time, but then said let's focus on solutions. BHB bloods were being done at the time. They vary, but a lot of these sick cows, obviously glucose was down. We were tricking around with urine pH, but because we weren't going for a DCAD diet, it couldn't be relied on. And minerals, we took some mineral samples just when we saw the stillbirth at the start, and our iodine levels were just above normal, or what we would expect. So we said we'd keep an eye on that. So when we think about it, we knew we had an energy problem. We know we've taken action on that and increased supplementation and feeding. We didn't know, so what we did on calcium here is we thought we were prepared. We had a full mineral analysis done on silage. 3 different silages. Our best quality silages are bales, but the potassium was 4% on that, and it was a huge risk for milk fever. We also wanted to keep it for the freshly calved cows. So what we did was we looked at our mineral, we looked at our silage, pretty comprehensive silage analysis, and said, right, our milk fever risk is quite low here. Our supplementation with our dry cow mineral should get us out of jail. We've never had any problems in the past with milk fever on the farm, but that's not to say that we couldn't in the future. So when this problem occurred of stillbirths and retained cleanings, the things you think about are energy, calcium and minerals. On the mineral front, particularly selenium and vitamin E. We had done minerals probably way too far back from calving when cows were on silage diet for about 2 weeks. They didn't show anything up. Our mineral analysis again on silage, based on what we were feeding with the dry cow mineral, we felt we were okay. So we're still waiting a more comprehensive mineral analysis of our pre-calved cows, or so, to see where we are. So we had a problem, okay. We also started measuring colostrum, and calf health has been good and colostrum quality is okay. So we had a problem, and obviously when treating those cows with retained cleanings, with washouts, supportive treatment, again, on both our farms has really been we've really got benefits with the idea that we want to reduce antibiotic usage, but really support metabolic function in our cows and in sick cows. Or, I think it's really key. And I love the idea that metabolism drives immune function. Now, metabolism is driven by feeding and how we feed this and the environment the animals are in, but metabolism, we had a metabolism problem here from what we can see. We had an immune function problem, and we saw the issues with retained cleanings. Interesting as well in our heifers, the heifers that are calving in here, what we're doing is everything gets CMT tested, cows and heifers, and we didn't see high CMTs here in our heifers bar 1, but all our heifers that calved in here early were reading high on our CMT testing. We culture everything as well just to see, and none of the bacteria or bugs that we saw warranted treatment. A lot of them are the non-ora staphylococci, streptococci, and we made the decision at the moment to support these heifers through supportive oral fluid therapy and anti-inflammatories if they needed washouts for the retained cleaning. So these were particularly the ones we got problems with. And we'll re-CMT test in 7 to 10 days. We're finding by bacterial culture on the farm that we're treating a lot of these cases. First of all, I suppose our clinical mastitis has come down, but we're finding we're treating a lot of the less environmental mastitis cases where we're just giving them supportive treatment and anti-inflammatories. And I think with our heifers, what we're seeing here is an immune challenge causing issues with cell count. But we'll see when we re-CMT test them over the next couple of days to see if the supportive treatment has worked. But this is a big one on farms in general, heifer management and stress. So stress will cause rises in somatic cell count in our heifers. I suppose typically we'll see that by CMT testing or our milk recording. We're going a little bit further to look at trying, because there's such a focus on milk quality, to focus on the bugs. And we're finding we're making a decision right now on the bacterial plates and what we're seeing on the cultures not to treat these heifers and reassess them over the next 7 to 10 days. And maybe we may have to make decisions then. But it's really interesting when you look at heifers, and I suppose this idea of metabolism and management on factors on immune function, it really is key. We're learning that lesson on farm. So the problem, we have to react obviously to the problem. So we've in the short term we're doing a lot of supportive treatment for our freshly calved cows. All our cows with fresh calf are getting fresh calver. If they're over 4th lactation or anyway thin or having a hard calving, they're getting the 20 litres of fluids and fresh calver. All other animals that calve over the next 7 days are getting a YMCP bolus, and that's just to cover the calcium. I suppose the other thing is we're very lucky in the sense that I did mention the Smactex bolus is giving us a lot of information on both farms, and our data just went crazy here because we had a lot of stuff happening. So we're trying to look at individual cows. You know, we're making treatments, we're looking at their rumen, we're looking at their rumen activity, temperatures, and we're seeing how well they're performing, how well they're recovering. So we're in a recovery phase. In fairness, we've probably had another, bit of rocky start. The last 10 have calved okay because we had that supplementation right, because I think our ultimate challenge was silage quality was so poor, and we do not want to be back in that situation again for next year. So there'll be a big focus on that. I know sometimes that can be weather dependent, but we're looking at using silage inoculants. So we're quite excited about the whole microbial stuff that I talked about in last week's blog, but we've got to make better silage quality, continue to focus on the animal-centered approach in space. Supplementation was late. That won't happen again with us. We need to just be a little bit more organised on when we go in. I think, look, we don't really know what's happening with calcium here, bar the preparation we did. And I should have really done maybe calcium bloods on cows, but I didn't. I think we're going with what as much as we know that energy is a challenge, we're going to focus there, but we need to keep an eye on calcium. On the minerals and mineral bloods, we probably didn't do that as well as we could. We should have brought the mineral bloods a little bit closer to calving time. We'll await our mineral analysis to see what we do, but things have settled. But the things to focus on just that we got that reminder of energy, calcium and minerals have to be right, but particularly energy and transition management, not just the feed itself, but how we manage the cows and the environment. And that's the update this week. Yeah, so it's been a rocky start, but we will get there. I feel bad for the team because they're working so hard to, particularly this was a huge focus on cell count. It's disappointing to see this challenge starting off, but we will get there. It's progress over perfection. We faced our first bottleneck of the year. Let's get on to the next one and see how well we can improve farm performance over the coming weeks and months. This is the key time now as so many cows start calving down. Happy, safe farming.